Good morning, students. It's August 26th, 2024. It's the last live of August. Let me just try and get a little more light here. I don't know if that makes a difference. The light is hitting me on the side. All my studio lighting is on the left. Okay, it's going to be a quick live this morning, but once you join me, please make a note in the comments so I know who's joining me. It's crazy how August went by so quickly, but it's going to be a quick live today because I have a sick kiddo at home. I'm trying to get to the doctor, so I'm going to make it really quick. Say hello once you join me. Just kind of going to do an August wrap up. It's crazy. I mean, usually come September, I'm excited for cooler weather, and it has been a little cooler in the mornings here, but not like when I'm up in Canada and we've got wonderful, like that cool crispness coming in for fall. I'm really, really looking forward to fall. Good morning, Nancy and Jeannie. My two retreat attendees are joining me this morning. Thanks for joining me. I'm so excited for the retreat. Are you? So excited. Let me just wait a few minutes here, see if anybody else is joining me. I see a couple people joining and like to know who's joining me this morning. I'm so sorry I didn't have anything planned. I don't know if you just caught me a minute ago, but my son is homesick today, so I got to try to get him to the doctor. So my morning kind of went a little cuckoo. Wasn't as planned. And then I had to drive my daughter to school. And I took my dog for a ride. I'm trying to get appointments going here. You guys are excited. I'm totally excited too. Yeah, it'll be nice. Cool it. Well, I don't know how cool it's going to be, Jeannie, for the cooler weather for this year. I'm sorry. My mind's kind of all over the place this morning. You know, I've been, since last week, I've been working on Christmas art for my partners. So it's kind of weird in my studio because I'm doing all this like Christmas art and I'm getting ready for the holidays, and then I step outside and it's like 100 degrees and it's not pairing up. So it's always weird when I'm working on Christmas art in summer, but this is really the time where we work a lot on the Christmas art because buying season will start next month, and the big trade shows start in January for the following year. So we're trying to get in like as many designs for, now it's like 2026, believe it or not. We're working on 2026. Samantha. Oh, but you're in the UK. So let me give you an update on the retreat. I know I've got a couple of retreat joinees here, but I am like 95% booked. I'm almost sold out. There's only one spot left. So if you are joining me and you've been thinking about it, you've got to make a decision soon because it's not going to last. Typically when I send an email out reminding people of the retreat, it gets, like, I get several bookings, and I got 3 last week after I sent an email. So yeah, there's only one spot left. Good morning, Ellen. Ellen's joining me for the retreat too, so I'm really excited. Ellen, I was just saying how I'm totally almost booked out of the retreat. There's only one spot left. So that's super exciting. I can't wait to, I've been waiting to book out before I like go meet with the caterers and do all the kind of fun stuff. I know it's a ways away, but I have so much on my plate that I'm going to have to start planning some stuff soon. Excuse me. I also want to give, I know I kind of do the same thing every live. Summers are kind of like a little crazy and getting catched up, but we're expecting, if you've ordered my paint, let's see. Oh, I want to know, Ellen, Nancy, Jeannie, I know you're joining me on the retreat. Have you guys tried my paint yet? Let me know, because if you haven't, you're in for a treat at the retreat. You're going to try my paint for the first time. I'd be curious to know if you've tried my paint yet. But let me just check here. I think I did get an update on the paint. I'm so slow this morning. I think originally it was scheduled to be delivered to our warehouse on the 10th, but it looks like maybe it's going to be there earlier next week. So I'm so excited. Oh, good, Nancy. So the shipment is supposed to arrive at our distribution center next week with the new paints, which is super excited because I just can't wait to get these new colors and these new sizes to everybody who's ordered the pre-bundle. I've been using them a lot in my Christmas art, and it's they're pretty cool colors. There's a lot of different mix and match. I'm going to show you like these little Christmas briefs that I got that I'm working on. Maybe it'll give you some inspiration. But like these are some of the mood boards. So we've got some really fun kind of Christmas pinks and pastels, and then some brighter colors, and then we get into like some more traditional colors. We've got the darker theme, got the red, green, and white kind of theme happening here, right? We've got a blue theme happening, and my agent wants me to paint a Santa, and these are some of my inspiration. And I've never painted a Santa in my life, and that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. So I just want you guys to know, like, it doesn't matter what level you're at. Like, I'm pretty much confident doing anything, but when it comes to portraits, it's really iffy for me because there's so many different looks and styles, and I honestly haven't done like portraits like that since I was doing my degree in university. And I used to, the way I did portraits was oil painting, because there's a really cool technique. So I'm going to kind of try it with acrylics, and I don't know if it's going to work. I think it might. But so when I went to university, I learned different mediums. I did oil, acrylic, and aquarels. I actually didn't do like watercolors, but I did aquarels. And if you're not familiar with aquarels, they're watercolor pencils. So they're like pencil crayons. So you can actually like color with them, and then you take a wet brush after and you go over it, and it turns them into watercolors. So it's pretty cool, because you can do all your shading and kind of stuff ahead of time. And if you like do something wrong, then it's, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but imagine you color something the way you want, and then you take water and it kind of blends all the colors. So you know where your colors are going right away. So it's a little bit different than watercolor. But, you know, it's interesting because I really fell in love with oil paintings because the technique I learned so many different oil painting techniques, but the technique I learned for doing portraits was you actually do like a grayscale, so you get all your shadows and highlights in, so it's like almost like a black and white portrait. And then after that paint dries, about 10 days or 2 weeks, like that's the problem, it just took a long time for oil paint to dry, you would go over it with kind of like a glaze, like different colored glazes to get the flesh tones. So it was like a really cool concept that I really loved because I could really get realistic portraits. Of course, I don't paint like that now. Like, I don't do realistic portraits, but I had fun doing it. So I was trying to figure out a way how I could do the Santa using that technique, but with my acrylic paint. So I was thinking of maybe getting like the highlights and shadows in and then going over with a glaze. So that's interesting. I'll have to let you know how it works, but I've been like trying to rack my brain at how I'm going to do this Santa portrait. It's kind of stressing me out. So it'll be a testament of what I tell you guys all the time, is just like, you know, practice, try different things. I'm thinking of maybe doing my reverse negative painting technique too. You know, when like if you've taken my floral abstract course, those moody florals where we used a dark background and we used like a whitewash. So I'm thinking of maybe trying something like that too. So I'll let you know how it goes. Super nervous. I'm kind of putting that one on till the end because I want to get all my other kind of fun stuff out of the way first. So there's somebody who is doing the portraits in the group. There's somebody who does portraits in the group, and I was wanting to ask them if they could try doing a Santa, because that would be really cool. Like if you're good at doing portraits and you can do Santas, because Santas are so needed in the industry, and it's like you have to really be like a portrait kind of artist to pull it off. And then on top of that, they're really specific how they want the Santas to look. Like they have to look friendly, and like it gets tedious. But anyways, yeah, so that's what I'm going through right now with Christmas art. So I'm doing all the kind of fun stuff, and then I will, you know, do the not so, the more challenging things. Yeah. Okay, I'm just reading the comments here. Good morning, Samantha. How are you? Barbara, hi. Samantha, do you have plans to ship to the... Yeah, Samantha, we ship worldwide. So if you're in the UK and you want to get the paints, you can order them. So it'll change to your currency when you go to place an order. Barbara in Plano. Oh, hi, Barbara. Yes, Barbara, okay, so you're asking if the retreat is for everybody. By the way, Barbara, I'm in Justin, so I'm below Fort Worth and Denton, so we're not too far from each other. And the retreat is in Justin at Lucky Spur Ranch, so it's close to, not too far from where you are. But the retreat is for all levels, okay? So you don't have to be an experienced artist to join the retreat. I don't know if you heard, but there's only one spot left. So if you're thinking about it, I would book that as soon as possible. But it is for all levels. And the beauty of it is, like, I'm really going to hone in on, like, working on different techniques with you guys. I want you to experience, like, paint and different ways that you can use them. And the retreat is going to be like a little bit of a journey. So you're going to get just so much information and a new kind of way of thinking about painting. So honestly, it's for all levels, and you don't have to know how to draw. You don't have to know, like, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to want to go a professional art or direction with your art. Just like everything that I do and the way that I teach, it really is for everybody, okay? And the beauty about that is when you're in a retreat and you are creating and learning, everybody's going to work at their level. So there might be beginners, more advanced students, maybe students that have been with me for a couple years, maybe brand new students. I do have people that are joining me that have only joined me this year. So I don't want you to feel intimidated. It's not like, come in and I'm going to make you a professional artist right away. You know, you've got to be at that level. That's not what it's about. It's in everybody's journey is going to be different. So you're going to be able to apply what I'm sharing with you and the direction that I'm going to encourage you to go in. You're going to do it at your level. So if you love painting just for the joy of it, or you're a beginner and maybe it's something that you are thinking of doing down the road, there's so much valuable information. And then last week I also mentioned that I have a new course coming out that is like an artist tutorial to Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, because it's a very useful tool for artists. And if you have these skills as an artist to be able to use Photoshop, there is a whole nother world of creating art out there. I'm not talking about digital art. I'm talking about taking your painted art, the art that you paint, and bringing it into Photoshop and being able to do so many different things with it. You can pull elements and create patterns. You can pull elements and create new compositions, which are new paintings, just with a few elements. And this is how I build collections. That course that is coming out next month, near the end of the month, maybe even October. I'm not sure. The reason being is there's some filming going on for it. The course is done, but I'm talking about the advertisement. But Barbara and Ellen and everybody who's joining me here on the retreat, you're all going to get that course for free because you are joining me on the retreat. So retreat participants are going to get free access to that new course. But when we're at the retreat, I'm going to explain more about how this course is going to be useful to you. And we're going to paint. I'm just going to show you really cool ways that you can paint. And it's going to like open up your eyes to how artists today are creating. And it's so much fun. It's almost like, think of collage. We're not doing collage, but think of layers, like creating, if you were to even scrapbook, like you take a background and then you're adding images on top. And it's the way we all teach, like artists teach their students to paint, is there's a background, there's a middle ground, there's a foreground. Obviously with art licensing, it's a little different because sometimes we just have isolated elements that we're putting on a product. But in reality, those images are layered in Photoshop. So I'm going to explain all that to you. We're going to play with paint, color. I'm going to show you how to like pair colors together. You're going to get amazing little color swatches so you can play around with. You're going to play and work with technique, brush techniques. I'm there with you so I can really hone in on how the brushes work and the different things that you can do with it, and pressures and little tips like that. So it is for everybody. I hope that answered your question, Barbara. I kind of rambled on about that, but did want to let you know there's just one spot left. Painting always gives you opportunities to learn new styles and techniques. And Jenny, absolutely. And like, here's a testament, and I say it all the time. It doesn't matter what level you're at, you're always learning. I am constantly learning as a professional artist, being in the industry for over 20 years now. I'm always learning and I'm always being challenged. So, and the more you paint, the more comfortable you get with certain things, and you're still uncomfortable with other things. But until you're thrown at it and you're like challenged to do it, you don't really know if you're going to be able to do it. So why not try? So I did this. It's funny because I was doing this Christmas painting on the weekend, and I'll show you it here. I wish I had like a before picture of it, but I wasn't happy how it turned out. I was like, like this is kind of flat and boring. And so my go-to when I create a painting that I'm not too happy with, and I'm seriously considering tossing it, which I think I tossed one painting in like the last 12 months. What I do before I toss it, I let it dry, I walk away. The next day I come in and I take my pens to it, my gel pens, my Posca pens, and I'll just like, I'm thinking it's garbage already. I'm probably going to throw it in the garbage. So why not try a little something to see if I can like revive it. So I'll take my gel pens and I'll like do illustration or add texture or designs to see if I can bring it back to life. And that's what I did with this painting. So this is the painting I did. It's like a Christmas tree. It's really kind of busy, but like the tree part was just green and flat, and I didn't like it. And you know, I didn't put bows on my what's it called? My Christmas presents. I didn't want to paint them because I've already layered so much. So what I did is I took my gel pen to the green part, and I just added texture and illustration. Now the part you don't see, the finished piece that eventually I'll post on Instagram, but not yet, is I have painted, here's just an example of like little elements that I'll paint, and then I bring them into Photoshop and I pull them and I could like paste them on things. So you see a bow here. Well, I have like a file that has a whole bunch of bows. So I can go in and grab a couple bows, and then what I did in Photoshop, this is why Photoshop is so important, I pulled this painting in, and then I added bows to my presents so that it's more interesting. And the final painting is completely different. But this is a painting I was going to pitch. Like, I'm like, I'm going to start over. I'm going to do something different. I'm like, no, let's not go there yet. Let me see what I can do. So I always say I zhuzh it up. So this is why understanding Photoshop could be so detrimental to your like sanity, because you can make things so much greater and elevate them. And you know, being in the industry, like, understand that, well, especially for new artists, it doesn't really happen to me that often, but it still does happen, is I will create a painting or a collection, and customers love it, but they might want like a little adjustment. Maybe they want like a different bow color, maybe they want to remove a bow, maybe they want to add a bow, maybe they want to add a floral crown. So this is where, as an artist, if you don't understand Photoshop or use Photoshop, it can be very stressful, because you're having to take your original painting and paint over it. Like, you're going to have to like block sections out and repaint it, and then paint buildup starts happening, and you can see like lines underneath, and it can get very frustrating. So I've learned over the years that there's a more effortless way of making those changes without having to change my original, and that's in Photoshop. Sometimes I'll just paint a new element, I'll import it into Photoshop, I'll pull it off the background, and then I'll put it on the painting. And if it's an animal, I can just add it on top. If it's like, sometimes I have to remove a piece of the painting to put the new painting in. But like, that's the magic of Photoshop when it comes to artists, and why it's so important. And honestly, like, I know it's so intimidating to think, I don't know, like, Photoshop is so, and I get it, because I've tried to like do other programs, not for my digital work, but for like editing purposes for videos, and I don't really have the time to relearn something. So I kind of stick with what I do, because Photoshop has one, but it's so, like, there's so many tools to it that, like, I would have to take a kind of a general course to understand them all. And I know that's probably what you're thinking when it comes to Photoshop, but the way that I design this course is, as an artist, you don't need to know how to do everything in Photoshop. There's key tools that are right in that bar to the left that pops up, that if you just know these key tools and understand what they're for, then your life is going to change. And that's how I design that course. So I just focus on the tools that artists need, and then I go through how to use these tools and what they're for. And through the course, I'm actually demonstrating how to build a collection just from, like, if I import things like this into, let me give you a different example. Okay, because this is better. So I recently did a, what's it called? St. Patrick's Day collection. So I did some clovers, I did rainbow, little pot, I did some lettering, and some gold elements overlays. So this is, believe it or not, this is my collection, but I haven't built the collection yet. So I can take all these elements, bring them into Photoshop, remove the background, and make them all individual layers so that I can grab an element and start building a picture. And that's what I teach you in this course too. So, and when I explain to you how to paint, like you can see too, right? I'm just creating images on a white background. Okay, it's not a completed painting. So they're isolated, making it easy to pull off. So, and then I'll show you how to put it together if that makes sense. I'm going on and on and on and on and on. But I do want to just reiterate that as intimidating as it sounds, learning Photoshop, I make it very easy. And the great thing about Photoshop now too is you don't have to go out and buy like Photoshop and the key and spend like $1,000 on Photoshop. It's actually very reasonable. You can get it on the cloud and you pay a monthly fee, very small fee. Like if you're just getting Photoshop, it's really inexpensive. I have the whole package. I think I pay like 20 something a month for the whole package. But for just Photoshop, which is the only thing that you need, it is so worth it. Jeannie, this is true. She says the hardest thing about a portrait is making it look like the person. Who does Santa look like? It's your interpretation. I know, and I think that's where I'm kind of struggling. I should actually get a picture. Actually, gave me an idea. I should grab a picture of my dad, because my dad looks like Santa. Like when he's got a little white goatee, but if he had a big beard, like he would make the perfect Santa with his white hair, and it kind of flows, and his blue eyes, and yeah. So that's a good good tip. Nancy, I know you're in Denton. It's crazy you're just up there. I go to Denton like quite a bit. I'm either up at UNT or I'm at the grocery store up there. So maybe one day we'll run into each other. At Home. Do you ever go to At Home up there? Hi, Wanda. Barbara. Good. Thank you. Hi, Saul. Yeah, good, Saul. I'm glad to know that you're understanding and learning layering. Yeah. And you know, the hardest thing is when you're painting in layers, because you're creating something that you're very proud of, and then you are afraid to paint over top. But honestly, that's another reason why Photoshop is good too in scanning your work. So if you paint something that you really love a background, and you want to preserve it, you can scan it and save a digital file and then take the original and play on top. Or you can scan it and print a color copy if you have a good color printer and do more work on top of the reprint. So you can still preserve the original. So there's so many, this is another reason why you should learn Photoshop and scan your work. Because there's just, you can, until you become comfortable, but I always say, like, if you create it once, you can create something similar like that again. Like, follow the technique. Say you're doing a lesson of mine and you get to a point where you love the background and you're afraid to go on top. You know you can create another painting similar to that. Just do the lesson again and follow it to that point. But if you don't try, like, a lot of the times, I think, and you guys can let me know if I'm correct or if you've experienced this. I'd say about, for me anyways, I mean, I do this a lot, so it's hard for you guys to compare your experience to me, but in my past, what I've experienced is the more layers that I put and the more designs that I put or creations that I put on top of the painting, it just gets better and better. And not everything needs so much detail, and like there's simple art out there, but when you're doing simple art, like first of all, if you're doing an abstract painting and you just got the background on, you might be so proud of that background. It's a beautiful background, but honestly, if you look at it as a composition, it's hollow. Like, it's just a background. You need a focal point in abstract art. Abstract art is a tricky one. Like, you really have to understand composition and understand, like, if you want to do a simple abstract painting, you still have to layer, but you have to really pay attention to like where your colors and where your focal point is, because you need to make sure that there's elements or color patches where your eye is moving all over. If it just kind of stops and you're looking at something that's, here's an example, like you don't want to just see a pattern. You don't want to see everything the same all over the canvas. It needs to have different elements of interest within it, right? It has to change and vary. So if you do a background and it's very uniform all over, you're not done. You need to work. You need to put something else on top, whether you're doing like a larger patch of color over all the colors that are the same in like a contrasting color, or you're doing an element of design with a big brush stroke or bold color, or some ink drawings, you know. So those are examples of how you know if your painting is done. If you're just seeing a pattern and everything's uniform and the same, your painting is not done. You've got to keep working on it. So don't be afraid to keep building and trying new things, because honestly, you'll never know how it turns out after. And 9 times out of 10, after you've reworked and put some additional elements, you're more proud of it. So I just want to encourage you that all my courses are a learning experience. It's not about like becoming an expert overnight and making beautiful art every single time. Like, understand that before I got where I am, I made a lot of ugly art. And ugly art is not a bad thing. It's a learning process. And a lot of the time, actually, I have like a little bin with my kind of mess ups, like if I'm doing backgrounds and maybe I don't know what I'm going to do with it, or I tried something, it didn't work. I don't throw it out. I put it in a bin, and later I go through it and I'll pull, like I might get a brief to do something and I need like a textured background or weird color. I always go to the bin because there's more likely going to be something in there with the color, the basis of the color. And what I love to do, and I teach this technique in so many of my courses, I mean my abstract courses, my floral abstract courses, is you can have an ugly background and just like do a wash over it, right? You know, I did there's this other Christmas tree that I did. So this background was like a dark kind of weird green color, and I loved like the texture in it. You can't really see the texture very much, but I loved the texture of it, and I wanted to utilize it for this painting. So I just did a whitewash, like where I take my white acrylic paint and add water so it's really milky, and then I put it all over the background to lighten it up and soften it up. That's my trick. So you can if you take ugly art that you call ugly and you just revamp it, do a wash, and you can do them with different colors, and then let it dry and see what kind of interesting background, and then you can start working on top of it, whether you want to do some illustration work like drawing with pens, or paint an abstract, or do like a really cool like focal element. Those are some good tips to get you started. Yes, Barbara, absolutely, good point. So Barbara said, so basically Photoshop is just helping you decide what else you can do to make your painting better. Yes, or to create new paintings from elements you've already painted, which is really cool, because like when you're creating, you can create so many cool things. Like maybe you painted like a heart or like a bunny, or did some lettering that you really, really love, and you don't know what to do with it. Photoshop is a great tool for like preserving those elements, and then later when you're creating a painting and you need a little zhuzh, like maybe a little something extra in the painting, you can pull those elements and add it to a new piece. So even though you painted something a long time ago, like you can reutilize it. And in the art industry, we do it all the time. Like I pull elements I created 10 years ago and I'll either rework it, like I'll create a whole new painting from it using those elements, and maybe I duplicate those elements, make some larger, make some smaller if I want to do a pattern, or if I want to create like a holiday piece, I might take some hearts and make some big, make some small, change the color, put them on top of each other. So there's so many useful tools that enable you to monetize on your artwork when you're using Photoshop. Yeah. Well, Robin, then you're on the right track. So she's already using Photoshop, but at a basic level. So, and this is perfect because you're experimenting. I always used it as a basic level too, and I got along fine with my partners before I started really understanding the things that I can do. So you will greatly benefit from it because you're already using a little bit. So when you take this course, the new course that I'm coming out with, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that, which is what you want as an artist, like ideas on different ways that you can use Photoshop. And you know, I used to think I had to, if I wanted an element, like say I was doing a bow, and I keep saying bows because I've been painting a lot of bows, but say I want a bow and I want them in different colors. I used to paint them all in different, like I'd have like 20 bows and they'd all be in different colors. So now what I do is I only do a couple, like in a light tone and a dark tone, and then I can change the color in Photoshop. I can alter the colors in Photoshop, and I show you how to do that too. So just understanding a simple tool, right? The other thing is you can change the sizes. You can make them big, you can make them small. You can alter the proportion of things. So if your bow is thin like this, you can grow it to make it like a wider bow. You can cut pieces of the bow and make it a double bow. So like think, you paint one bow and you can probably make like 10, 20 different bows from that one bow. And that's what I did with the bows for my, what's it called? My Christmas tree that I showed you, the presents. Okay, so, and the more and more you use it, because I'm self-taught in Photoshop. No one ever taught me Photoshop. So I learn all these different tricks. A lot of it is because I'm being asked for it, so I got to figure out how to do it. So it's cool that I've figured it out, and now I can share it with you. So you're not gonna, I'm showing you the basics on how to do everything and giving you ideas. But the fun of Photoshop is once you have those skills and the tools, you can experiment and really play around. And that's what I do. And that's what art is, even with these courses that I teach you, right? I can only show you so much. I wish I could show you everything I know, but I'm showing you the important things, right? Like I can't do a course on every single subject. Like maybe you want to learn how to do like paint a horse and a chair, and like I can't have a course on every single subject, but what I'm teaching you is the most important tool, and those are techniques on how to paint objects and how to paint backgrounds and how to do illustration, so you can apply it to any subject that you want. And that's the beauty of everybody taking these courses and you being interested in what you're interested in, because that's how you develop your own style. You are, every individual, everybody who's watching this live has a different taste. They have different like hobbies and likes and dislikes. So you can apply what you love to your own art and paint what you love using these techniques. And that's how you develop your style. So it's not like, oh, because Yvette does like quirky animals, I gotta do quirky animals to be successful. No. There's so, like, there is a world out there for everything. And I will tell you, if you are thinking of getting into art licensing, start working on holiday art, because that is like, these are big sellers every season. You've got to learn how to do holiday art. Go on Pinterest, follow the trends of the year. And it doesn't matter if it's like old, new. Holiday art is like, you've got traditional colors in every holiday art. Like we're talking about Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day. You know, there's icons that are used over and over and over, and colors used over and over and over. It's just kind of revamping the style, and you can follow that with the trends go to your home decor store and you see what's going on, and what are people loving. Like, you know, this Highland Cow thing is going on, and the Highland Cow's been around for a couple years, and he just moves along with the trends. Like, we were doing flower crowns, then we're doing patriotic, now we're doing Christmas cows, now we're doing Thanksgiving cows. Like, you know, it's just, everything's holiday. So add a holiday spin to whatever. It'll surely come around at some point. Nutcrackers, Christmas trees, Santas, you know, hearts and letters and bouquets and florals. These are all things that just never go out of style. So if you're thinking of getting into art licensing, you can start building your portfolio with these kind of paintings. What do I do at UNT? Oh, actually, okay, so my husband works at UNT. He's one of the directors up there, and I actually working with the media department up there. So I'm gonna start working. I'll get you some more details once things start happening. But we're helping each other out. I'm working with students there to give them content for their media. So. And other things. I just kind of have a little community up there that I'm working with. Yeah. So she must have just started there, your granddaughter, at UNT, because school started last week. So that's exciting. Jeannie, yeah, use your scanner. Isn't it amazing? Like, and I do have a course on how to scan your work and digitize it. It's kind of like the basics. So if you want to learn how to scan and clean it up, I do teach that, but this Photoshop course is going to be a little more in depth. Anyways, okay, it's 9:40. I'm going to wrap it up. Are there any other questions before I go? And then if you all want to help me out, and if there's anything that you want me to dive into next week on the live, give me some ideas. You can post comments and or post your suggestions in the comments, and then I can talk about those topics next week. But I'm going to sign off, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. It's the last week of August. Enjoy it. I know it kind of doesn't feel like it because school started, people are still working, and yeah, like summer's over. So let's get ready for the fall and the cooler weather, right? Everybody's waiting for cooler weather. Okay, have a fabulous week, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.